guys, welcome to Unfiltered Kitchen with your host, Shy Not Shy, also known as Cheyenne Davis, Floyd.
I was waiting for it. You know how hard it is for me to get people to use my new last name?
You know, nobody likes Davises. Nobody likes a Davis. Well,
I almost shot my Coke out of my mouth. It is so hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably because they're used to, well, put it like this. You've been a Floyd for 32 years, 31 years.
29.
29, okay. Mm-hmm. And you've been a Davis for 2.
Yeah. No, but even like at my job, like with MTV, I'm like, y'all, use Davis. So like simple things, like if we get picked up from the airport, the sign.
Oh, it still be Cheyenne Floyd?
It still says Floyd.
And Zach turns red.
Oh, Zach's just having a panic attack. He's just, I'm like, bro, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a name. He's like, they don't respect me. Oh. They don't respect your new name. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's caught in machismo land.
Oh my God.
I'm going to tell you at this point.
If you were a female, would you have dropped your name or would you have added?
Let me tell you something. As a male.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how much I give a flying thought about the name Floyd?
0.
That ain't my name. That's some name somebody pasted on my back.
So if Teresa, when you guys married, if she said, hey, I'll marry you, but I don't want to take your last name, you would have been like, all right.
Man, dude, call yourself what you want to call yourself. Okay?
Have you always had that?
No, I have not always had that. There's times I've been young and dumb like, your mate.
Do not call him that.
Well, come on, that's my guy Zach. I can take a little shot. You guys know I love Zach.
I think that Zach I think that he holds his last name on like a cool pedestal.
Yeah, but that's stupid because it's a slave name.
Okay.
I mean, that's all it is.
I mean, it's a given name.
Yeah. Look, if I think about Floyd, the name, I think about my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and I can respect them.
Yeah.
It's not the name. It's them. It's the actions that they did. It's the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
Okay? What if the name was Jones?
There's a lot of Floyds.
There are a lot of Floyds. There's a place called, how I'm down at the convention center and I'm mailing stuff on, someone, there was, I forgot what state it was, but it was, the city was Floyd or the little town was Floyd.
Oh, that's cool.
And I said, I think it was in Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I said, now I know where my family comes from.
Oh, I'm done.
Floyd, Virginia.
I was in a doctor's office and the doctor's name was Dr. Davis. I go, my last name is Davis. And he goes, is your family from Illinois? I was like, no. No, but it's a common name. It is.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't trip that. Now, your given name, the name I gave you?
Floyd? No.
Nope.
Cheyenne?
Yes. That you need to cherish because you understand why you got Cheyenne.
Okay.
All that.
While we're on the name thing, can you please explain to people why you named me Kristen and no one has ever called me Kristen?
I didn't name you Kristen.
Well, then who did?
It was either Janie or Connie, I think.
So my aunt or my grandma.
I think. To me, that's too faded of a name. Has no meaning. What is Kristen? Kristen.
Who is that?
Who is that? Really? Who is it?
So why would you allow the name to be my first name?
I got you the name I wanted. I'm good. I'm compromising. You remember marriage, compromise.
Oh.
Okay. I'm not trying
So the compromise was you guys can put Kristen on the birth certificate, but we're going to call her Cheyenne.
I know I was going to call you Cheyenne. Okay. I wasn't going to call you Kristen or Karen or Tiffany.
Oh my God.
Or Whitney or Mary. Okay. I wasn't doing all that. I thought about the names for my kids and this is what I want to name them. This is what I'm going to call them. Floyd.
What about mom? What did mom want to call me?
I don't know. I think when I talked to her about the names, I think she was okay with kind of my explanation. But you got to understand, she's down there, she's pushing. I'm catching the baby and going filling out the paperwork. So it didn't matter too much what she thought.
At that point, at that point, it was done.
Yeah, done. Cross eyes, dot the T's. However it goes. Done deal.
Okay. What do you think about? Because Kyle did this whole thing on her Snap. Was it last night? And I was like stuck on reading it. And she was talking about hyphenating last names. So for herself, she hyphenated Boz and Zaire's last names. So it's either Floyd Nwigwe or Nwigwe Floyd. Nwigwe being Mezier's last name, Floyd being our last name. Right. So she kind of presented the question to her Snapchat, like, what do you guys think about hyphenating last names? To do it, to not to do it. And in the past, I've had that same conversation with her because she's like, why didn't I hyphenate Ryder's name?
Well, I can tell you why.
Ryder was Floyd on her birth certificate.
Yeah.
And then we changed it over to Wharton. Okay, but why do you think I didn't hyphenate it?
Well, the reason I think people do hyphenate is so that the mother can have the same last name as their children.
Right.
Or I'm using my experience.
Okay.
My mother has always kept... Okay, she initially was married to my father, so she was a Floyd. Then she got divorced and got remarried, took on another name. When that divorced, she went back to Floyd.
Why didn't she go back to her maiden name?
Because her kids were Floyds.
Got it.
So she just wanted, so I think that's the same thing that you were thinking about in terms of hyphenating. Why hyphenate? Because you weren't going to hyphenate as a Wharton.
Right.
So it's not like not like Ryder would have a matching last name.
So what I explained was that...
But you could hyphenate her name.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Not mine. I told Kyle, and this was my advice to her when she asked me if I thought she should hyphenate her boys' names. I said if I was to go back and actually think about the name thing a little bit more, then maybe I would have hyphenated Ryder's name so that she would have been Floyd Wharton. But that's only because I would want the same last names as my kids. Now my last name is changed. I'm a Davis. So if Ryder was hyphen Floyd Wharton right now, it would kind of be for kicks and giggles. It's
no, because if you did that, you'd probably hyphenate your name now.
Then I would have to go back and change her name again.
To Floyd Davis?
No, I'm saying if I had hyphenated Ryder's name and it was Floyd Wharton, I got married, so now I'm a Davis, then I'd have to go back to change Ryder's name to hyphenate it again to Davis Wharton.
No, you would keep your name Floyd-Davis.
Oh, so I didn't think about that. Yeah. So we had that whole conversation, right? I gave her the advice of if I would have redone it, then I probably would have hyphenated Ryder's name. I think I was just in such a fog of everything going on with Rye that I was like, you want to be...
You're the daddy.
You want
daddy? You're the daddy? Okay.
You want to have the last name? Take it. I don't even care at this point. I was so tired. I had no fight in me. And that was the one thing that Corey had. It was his one thing that he had fight in him about was my
last name.
My child's going to have my last name. And I was look, she could be a Warren, okay? It sounds like an STI to me. I don't even care. Sounds like
an STI. Did you guys catch that? Wharton.
It doesn't sound appealing to me. So I was like, whatever. I have zero fight with you in this name. Go for it. But Kyle got a bunch of responses last night of people talking about whether or not they should believe in hyphenating their kids' names. I brought it up to Zach because I did think about keeping Floyd, putting Floyd on Ace, and his thing was how they used to make fun of the kids at school that had the jerseys with two last names on them. It's what? And he was like, yeah, you got to think about that as a real thing. I was like, you guys were bullies. But literally, I was like, what? That's what we're thinking about? How the jersey is going to look? So I say all that to say...
I got so much hope for it, but
sometimes it's huh? So we had a long discussion about the whole last name thing. But would you have hyphenated?
Would I have hyphenated?
If you were in Kyle's shoes.
If I was in Kyle's shoes, I probably would have. If I was Kyle the mother.
Yeah, right now.
Because I know I'm not going to marry the man.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with his last name being attached to the kids, but I want my last name attached to the kids too.
Yeah.
Because I want them, and you know, that way they understand. Here's your dad. Here's your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. I got some of both of you.
Yeah, I get that.
You know? What were the Snapchat people saying? Were they for it or against it?
A lot of people were for it. I saw a few that people were like, it's unnecessary. A few people who took the standpoint of it's just a name. So like, why do you need a good two? But I saw a lot of people who talked like legally wise, how it's easier to get certain things done with both last names. And I agree with that. With Ryder being a Wharton and the three of us in the house are Davis, there's sometimes when we travel where it becomes not an issue, but more of like, you know, more questions are asked. Yeah. It's like, trying to figure out, you know, the good thing is that Ryder and I look alike. So it's like, you know, that helps, but it's just a little bit more difficult to do certain things. Or like with the school, I can sign off, but I also need Corey to sign off on everything because he holds the last name. So it's like contract wise, it's a 2-parent thing. We both technically have custody of her.
Yeah.
So we both have to sign everything.
So he has to sign off it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You made it sound like initially like he had.
No, but because he has, like, if she was a Floyd, then they would have never asked.
Oh, okay.
You get what I mean? But because we have different last names, and it's like, oh, you're in they ask more questions. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. But so Ryder the other day overheard me and Mom talking about how Kyle was on a date.
Okay.
I hear Ryder on the phone with Boz later playing Roblox, and she goes, "Is your mom home yet?" And he goes, "No." She goes, "Well, do you know where your mom was today?" And he's like, "No." And she goes, "I know where your mom was." He's like, "Well, where's my mom?" And then he said, and you can kind of hear Boz's voice change, like, "So where is my mom?"
Right.
Mom, like, you know, he's trying to figure it out. And Ryder goes, "She's on a date with not Messier." I said, Ryder Wharton, why? And then Boz goes, "Well, Messier's my dad." And Ryder goes, "Duh, I know that. I'm just trying to tell you she's on a date not with him." I was like, okay, can you play Roblox and can you stop telling him everything? So I asked Kai, I said, "Did Boz say anything about you being on a date?" And she goes, "How did he find out?" I said, "My bad."
No, it wasn't your bad. It was her niece's bad.
Who was a little tattletale.
Yeah. Well, you should have just brushed it right back at her. Say, you know, I went on dates and it wasn't your dad.
Oh, she knows that. She knows, she helps Boz out sometimes by like when Boz says like, "Oh, I miss my dad's not here." Ryder will say, "Oh, well, my dad leaves for months at a time, like to go do the challenge and stuff."
Okay. Oh,
but
nice.
She doesn't understand time. So I remember one time she told Boz, "My dad was gone for like 2 years when he did the challenge." I was like, "Girl, no, he was not gone for 2 years." But she was trying to make it like relatable for him. Right. And I thought that was really cute. The kids lately, they're just saying and doing funnier things, and they're just getting too big.
They are growing. I like their style though.
Their style?
Yeah.
Like their personalities?
Yes.
They have good personalities. Yeah, Ryder's at the age now where she's asking a lot of questions and she's noticing things. She's stuck on that she's brown, that she's a black girl.
Okay.
That's come up a lot lately. And she's starting to notice, like on the TV, who's black and who's not black.
Okay, I think it's real important if she's going through that right now, then you give her, you've heard the saying, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud."
I've heard that.
You've heard that before, huh?
I have.
You've got to make sure that you give her things that she is seeing and participating in and being as she is. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you're bringing things to the table so that she understands why she's proud. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe you go back into, you can go American history anywhere you want to go. You can pick people out.
Yeah.
You can go all the way back to African history. I would suggest also. Talk about the kings and the queens that are way back then.
Do you remember when you realized you were like at that age or where you started to like notice race?
No, I don't. I don't remember when it was.
Yeah.
I do remember when I was young, some of my the first sleepovers that I can remember was, for some reason, I want to say this guy named Lance Silver, who was a little one, we were both little. He was a little white kid. I remember sleeping over his house a few times. And I had I knew that there were differences because what they ate
I'm done.
and what I was used to eating was really different. And I guess I knew he was white, when I think about it, but it wasn't.
You didn't care.
It wasn't an issue. Yeah, it wasn't even not even saying the issue. It wasn't a concern. It wasn't a question. It's just, okay, he is. It's almost like somebody lives around the corner. Somebody lives around the corner.
It wasn't a thought process yet.
Yeah. So, I think when I can realize, when I think about it, when I know I knew the difference is back when I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade and Roots came out.
Oh, yeah.
It was a tough time for white kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Roots would come on, I think, on Sunday.
Oh, I can't imagine that.
And on Monday,
you guys would go to school.
We beat them up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we was rough. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was a tough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first time I ever really consciously realized the difference.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think one time, if I go way back, there was a girl named Janine who I think was Armenian or something. Nice girl. And she said, and this is probably in the 3rd or 4th grade, she said something about black is not a color. She was just talking about the color black.
Yeah.
But some kind of way in our classroom, they started roasting her. Okay. And all she really meant was, the absence of color is black. Like if you go, like this room, we got a couple different colors.
Yeah.
Turn all the lights off, make it, there's no light in here, everything's black.
Yeah.
So that's all she really meant. But she got roasted. Now, I only bring that up because I do remember that probably in the 3rd or 4th grade where there was a discussion about black and white. Yeah. But she meant to innocently.
At school, were you guys taught Black history?
No.
Did you celebrate Black History Month?
Maybe Frederick Douglass, who was the abolitionist. But no, I first time I can remember getting a real dose of Black history was probably my in college, junior college. I took I did this in high school. In high school, let me correct that. In high school, there was African history classes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember my teacher, Mr. Lewis, and it was like an elective.
Oh, so it was an optional class.
It was optional.
Okay.
I think it was optional.
Yeah.
But I know I took it.
Yeah.
And that's when I got introduced. And I don't know if that was 11th grade or 12th grade. I almost want to say 11th grade.
Okay.
So now I'm starting to, in my house, my parents never talked about Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or, Thurgood Marshall or, Colin Powell. This just wasn't the conversation. So now I'm in this class and I'm starting to
hear all these things.
Hear all these people.
Yeah.
C.J. Madam Walker, and Nat Turner and, Ralph Bunche, this people that were all over the spectrum. Doctors, lawyers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, activists, protesters.
Inventors.
Yes, whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm like, lights on. Then after that, I was on my own. I'm like, let me, open up a book or I see something. And,
Is that when you realize that like representation matters?
I probably did not realize that the way you realize it. Because we didn't have much representation.
Right.
Out in the public domain.
So you didn't even know what the lack or the more of it is.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Because the difference is from your generation to my generation to like, let's say Ryder's generation. Right now, I feel like our generation, at least me, fuck everybody else, I don't know about everybody else. I understand that representation matters. So for my child, when I was looking at schools, when we tour the school, one of the first things I would do was Especially at Ryder's age, they have the wall that have the books. Kids get to go pick the books from the classroom. In her classroom, I would go to all the classrooms of like whatever, back then it was kindergarten or pre-K, or now she's in first grade. And I want to see what books are, what are the books that they have on reach every day in the classroom? And is there a book that, the character looks like her?
Right.
So that she has something that relates to her. And like, that's when I think representation matters for our kids.
So what's so screwed up is the primary representation that we had when I was younger. Well, there was probably only, I'll say 2 positive TV shows.
Okay.
Which would be The Huxtables.
Okay.
Bill Cosby show.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put Fresh Prince in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Besides that, there was there was comedians, a lot of buffoonery. But in terms of a TV show, that there was only one other. Bill Cosby was the only other black man on TV.
Yeah,
because he had another show besides the Cosby. Before he had the Cosbys, he had I think it was called I Spy. No, was it I Spy? What was the name of that show? But it was him and the white guy. They were co-partners. I think it was I Spy.
So as a kid, that's what you grew up watching.
Yeah. There was nothing, no other options.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be a movie from time to time with Harry Belafonte or Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
But not a regular TV show. No, didn't have any of that. Not like today, you've got tons of shows. Queen Latifah's got a show. Ice-T's got a show.
I mean, there's a lot of shows.
There's a lot. The Wire.
Even for kids. There's on Netflix now, there's a whole category on Netflix that's like representation matters, where you can find shows that
all different cultures.
Which
is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
I think it's great because it does help when you're dealing with tough subjects with your kids that you don't know how to have those conversations with a kid. You know what I mean? That's like to their level, to where they're going to understand. You can relate to a cartoon and say, oh, look, the girl in the cartoon did it. And that's happened. We've done that before with Ryder.
Do you remember the story you told me about Leon?
Yeah.
Tell that story. That's a great story.
So I told my dad, because we always have these conversations. So I was telling him that there was a day where we were kind of at the height of everything happening with the protests and BLM and just, a lot happening. My mom has some neighbors that are not black and that came over, and Ryder plays with their daughter a lot.
And what do you mean? They're white. You said non-black. That could be a whole lot of things.
Okay, so they're white.
They're white. But let me tell you something. They're very cool people.
No, I love them.
They're beautiful people.
They're super nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Ryan goes over to play sometimes, and their daughter comes over to play. And
they've been playing together for years.
Yeah, since they were babies.
Okay. And
her dad, the dad asked me, like, what are ways that we can do better? Like, what do you see that we don't, like, we're not doing, And he means it in no ill intent, no harm. And I was like, honestly, like, one thing that I noticed is that when your daughter comes over here, we have every doll, baby doll, character, any shade, complexion, size, hair, no hair, wheelchair, no, like any type of doll, she can pick from. She can find one that looks like her. She can find one that looks like a girl from school, like anything. But when Ryder goes to your house, there's no dolls that look like her. There's just one shade doll, which is white. And he was like, oh, we never thought about that. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it matters, because you got to think the kids look at these dolls as these dolls are put on pedestals. They like the dolls. They think these are beautiful dolls. So if you get dolls of multiple backgrounds, then they're going to play differently. They're going to think that all these dolls are beautiful. Or they might fight over, I want this doll. But it's like it gives them that conversation to even have it. Yeah. Ryder had a friend over last night, and she was like, okay, we're going to go play with my Barbie dolls or dolls upstairs. And Ryder was like, I call the brown doll. And then Ayla was like, well, I want the other brown doll. And I'm like, guys, there's more than one brown doll here. But it's just, they want dolls that look like them.
Yeah.
And the next time I saw him, he was like, we got every doll now. You come to our house, there's multiple dolls of all shades. I was like, that's cool. That happened before.
I just want to add, one of the most important parts of that whole story. What do you think was one of the most important parts of that story?
I think him even asking.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm thinking.
Him even bringing that up.
Yes. Yeah. And see, a lot of people might be timid or a little trepidatious.
To even ask.
But let me tell you something. As a people, don't be scared of your people. See, there are people.
Yeah, they're at the house every weekend. Yeah. So they're like,
I mean, look, I'm only there every so often.
And you see them every time.
I go in their backyard and play, So, I mean, they're just great neighbors. I recognize that probably the first time I met them, or if not the first, the second by the third.
I agree. I agree. I think that sometimes people don't realize the power that they can have within their questions and the answers that are given. Yeah. And even within their choices. So that was one doll story. There was another one that I always think about was when we first started shooting Teen Mom. We go back to New York to shoot reunions, and I think it was the first one I did. And we had the kids. I had Ryder with me in the office, Viacom office. Really nice. They left like in our green room or whatever, snacks and candy and sodas, and then a basket of toys. They gave all the kids toys, and I was looking at this basket and Ryder.
It's all Caucasian toys,
and it was all white. All white. Though all the toys were white, and all the kids got the same toys, right? All the baskets were the same, but at that time, I was the only person of color on the show, and I'm not gonna say names, but there was another child who had the same doll as Ryder because they all got the same doll, and I think that this person who was with the child didn't realize that all these kids got the same doll. So when they saw Ryder with the doll, they tried to take the doll from her and say, no, that's my child's doll or my granddaughter's doll or whatever. And I was like, look, they all got the same damn white doll. So give my kid hers back. Right. And after that, I did go back and I told, whoever my person was or my person to talk to back then, it's changed now. If we do this again,
please have a little more representation.
Have a doll that looks like my kid, because now I'm in the elevator, mean mugging this lady who's looking at me crazy because Ryder got the same white doll as her white kid. And I'm like, if you guys would have got, multiple color dolls or dolls of different races.
I do think that representation is very important for the parents to understand, what they are representing or what they are signing off on or what they are not disavowing. Okay. Because even silence is not cool at times. But the standards in which they live their household is very important. And if they're not conscious, just like
mom's neighbor
was conscious. not purposely, and not out of ignorance.
Right.
Just didn't
think about it.
But you have to be proactive in the raising of your kids and to make this world a better place. You've got to be proactive.
What are ways do you think people could be proactive?
Well, again, something as simple as representation with dolls, or if not just dolls, the art in your home, to have different cultures represented.
Books.
Books without a doubt. What you expose your kids to read or what they see you reading. Yeah. And it's not just exposure to Black people. I'm Black, so I'd like you to be exposed to me, but it's all cultures across the board.
It's just diversity.
It's diversity, yeah. I mean, I don't think that this is a singular world. Okay. I mean, depending on where you go in the world, there may be a majority. Okay. But in terms of the world, it's a very diverse world. Yeah. And I think if you practice that, if you try to actively participate in diversity, then it's going to help your kids, not only your kids, but you to better understand.
So I have a question. Okay. That goes back to you and your parenting choices. Uh-oh. So you and mom sent Kyle to Westridge, which is a private all-girls school in Pasadena, if you don't know about Westridge. And it's predominantly white. And I would say when Kyle was there was zero diversity. She was probably, I think, there was maybe 2 Black girls in her class from... How long did she go there? 2nd to 12th grade?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something that's going to really blow you away. But go ahead. Finish your question.
So I was just wondering what made you guys pick that as opposed to maybe a school with more diversity in it?
So that had the most diversity. As small as those numbers were.
You mean out of private schools?
Out of that school, there was Poly. Mm-hmm. There was what was that other school that started with M?
Flintridge.
I don't know if we went to Flintridge. Mayfield. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you're saying that was the most diverse school?
Yes.
Having two? Yes. Well, 1.5. I think the other half girl was half black. Yeah. So that's crazy.
But you got.
So then, what made you say this is still a good choice as opposed to maybe not just sending her to a private, maybe sending her to a public where she would be exposed to more people?
This is what happened to me. I went to public school. Okay, and actually, the junior high I went to was a very good one, and actually, the high school was a very good one.
Okay.
But when I went to SC, and I compared
USC for college,
USC, yeah. When I compared my study work habits and my understanding of more complex things to some of the kids that went to private schools, I felt like I was so far behind. Now, maybe it was just my own brain. Maybe I was just a lazy student previously. I don't know.
But in your opinion, you were saying that the kids that went to private were set up better for college.
They had a whole nother level of education.
Got it.
So I didn't want that to be a suffering point for my kids.
Okay.
So diversity, though it is important, at the time for me, it wasn't as important as it should have been. I was looking at what's the best school I can get my kids into. Education-wise.
Got it.
What is the school that's going to get them in any college they want to go to?
Yeah.
If they go that path.
Yeah.
So though the diversity was way off skew.
That's crazy that was the most.
Yes.
And it's 2.
Yeah. Well, let's be fair. It was 2 in her class.
It was 2 in her class. And
throughout the school,
there was more, but not too many more.
It probably was more diverse as a school
than just her class.
Yeah. She just got hit with the pumpkin in her class. The pumpkin, it's just bad luck. Now, when you came around,
it was better.
But by those 2 years, that 2 year or 2.5 year difference,
3
years, we had already seen the effects of that lack of diversity within Kyle's classroom or her year. So we wanted something different for you. And
when you say the effects, can you give an example?
Well, okay. Well, look, oftentimes it doesn't matter what your minority status is, whether it's designed by economics or by race or by religion or political favor. When you're the only one, or when you're such a small minority, it can be defeating.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you almost feel like you almost have to fight for everything.
Yeah.
You have to fight for friends. You have to fight for this. Yeah. You got to fight for, I don't know.
To be heard and seen.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you ever think at one point, like, I want to take her out of this? Or was it just solely like the education is good and we're going to keep you in this to get into a good college?
Well, the thing is, by time we realized that it probably wasn't the best situation for her, it was already over. Because there was times where I was saying, when I knew she was having, rough patches. Yeah. My thing was, it's all right. She's smart. She can, she can overcome this. She can.
Yeah.
She can cowboy up.
Looking back now, seeing like what the school has kind of done to like her mental health or to her spirit.
That's hard to say because Kyle's a strange bird in herself. Well, I'm just saying.
But maybe the school played a role in that. Like, would you make the same decisions now, knowing where it led her? I mean,
no.
Okay.
No, that's why I didn't make the same decision with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think back then you laid a lot of importance on college?
I laid a lot of importance on your high school education first. Okay. This could lead you to college if that's the path you decide to go. Okay. I wanted both of you guys, you girls, my daughters, to go to college. Not because college, but because that opens up options.
Yeah.
I mean, that what college does, if anything, for somebody that's hiring, is it says to them, hey, I have the discipline to study or to learn. I have the discipline to sit down, tune all the party out, tune all the cartoons out, tune out whatever I need to accomplish this, to get this degree.
Got it.
So, that means you can discipline yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's what that means to people that are hiring. It's not, yes, and there's, respective to their particular field. Engineering companies want engineers. They don't want art students, but just in general.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm college, take or leave it.
Yeah.
The education that do you know in college, I'm taking the first couple years in college, I'm taking the same thing that I was taking in the 6th grade? American history, stuff like that.
Yeah, just to get your AA.
Still learning, yeah. Still, education. Yeah. If you are in a field.
Ryder asked me the other day, do you want me to go to college, Mom? And I'm thinking, who told you about college? But I was like, it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be a doctor? And she goes, no. I was like, well, some people have to go to college for a long time to become a doctor.
Okay. So college is not all about what you learn. It is also as important, and sometimes even more important, is you open yourself up to a whole new circle of friends.
Yeah, like the community that you build. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm still, I still have my 2 best friends from college. Those are Ryder's godmoms. One of my good friends from college, John, is my lawyer. I still talk, half the people at my wedding were from college. I still deal with my pediatrician. I got her through a college friend. A lot of things in my life that have connected me to where I'm at, I've met them through college. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you went to college, but what did you do with your degree? And I studied for public relations. I studied for broadcast journalism. And I still feel like in multiple ways, I'm using what I learned there. Am I a publicist? No. But I feel like I'm still in that
You're doing broadcasting.
I'm in the realm of what I did. Yeah. But I get what you're saying. One thing that you told me,
it's not so much what you learned.
It's who you met in the community. One thing that you did tell me when I decided to go to...
when kids say, Mom, do you want me to go to college? You say, yes, I do want you to go to college. Because there's a whole circle of people that you meet out there.
Well, Brad told me she's going to college because she wants to grow up to be a Rams cheerleader.
Well, we're going to have to change that.
I'm girl. So I'm selling my soul to pay for this school so your big dream is to be a cheerleader.
Well, she's only 6. It's all right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, right. But what I was saying is that one of the things I remember when I decided to go to school in Virginia, you were telling me back then to really think about where I'm going to go to school because that's where my community will be based. Or you're going to make connections and friends, and are you going to want to live in Virginia for the rest of your life? And I was always like, no. But I remember you giving me that same talk. Yeah. I would say that I did like my college experience. And I think a lot of people were transplants to Virginia. Everybody went back to their, homes. And we still find ways to use the relationships that we formed back then, which was 10 years ago. I've been I'm on my 10 year right this year. Really? This year is for homecoming. Are you going? 10 year. I'm not.
Okay.
I was going to, but honestly, my friends don't want to go. So
okay. So really I'm a correct. Well, I'm a amend what I was telling you way back then. Mm-hmm. Don't go to school on the East Coast if you can come live on the West Coast because then you leaving all. Well, things are different now. Yeah. Than when I was. When I was coming up, we had at best a pager. Now everybody has a phone.
Yes.
So it's and you can see the person on your phone.
It's so easy to do work.
Yeah. So it's you can still go to school on the East Coast, come live on the West Coast,
and still use those.
Still have that connection with your East Coast people because it's a different world now.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not so important now that it was back then.
Yeah, but you gave me that. Oh, I can remember you giving me that East Coast, West Coast talk. And I'm like, I'm going to pick the school that is as far away from home as possible. I'm going over there. But I get what you're saying. I thought about that just with the diversity, thinking about representation, thinking about diversity, and then think about the school that Kyle did go to. I've always thought if you guys ever rethought that decision.
It might have screwed her up. I mean, I give that. It might have, you know.
I think it plays a role in some life choices, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying that to be negative, but I am saying, like, as we get older, I've talked with her and I'm like, girl, why did you do that way? And she's like, I went to an all-girls school. I never learned how to date, like how to be around guys in a certain way. And I could see how that played a role.
Do you remember what she did when she got out of high school? Education-wise.
No.
Okay, so when she first got out,
she went to didn't she go to like community college for a little?
Yeah, but she never went.
Yeah, but she filled out the application and was going to class.
I think she was going every day.
But she didn't actually attend.
Right. There was boys and girls on the same campus.
Yes.
And she was just like
she was just hanging out. She was like,
whoa.
There's boys. Yeah. And I think sometimes we go places and I can see Kyle either retract and be very like, you know, like nervous because of what's in the room, and then in other rooms she lights up like a butterfly. And I think sometimes it's like depending on how eclectic the room looks and how, you know, she feels about herself that day. But there have been talks where I'm like, girl, it's just a guy, go, like, what's the big deal? Yeah. Where she's like, you have to think about it. I wasn't around boys. Like I don't know. So I think to this day I'm still,
you know,
did you not think about that?
I did not think about that.
Yes.
I thought about it from the aspects of you don't have the distraction of boys.
Yeah, but she now doesn't even know how to socially deal with them to where I feel like...
Parents, do not send your kids to an all boys or an all girls school.
I think they just get out and they just get so excited and they don't even know how to act around the opposite sex.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if the young man is just a troublemaker, you know, it's either a boarding school, all boys, or jail. Send him to the boarding school. But anything short of that, keep them mixed up.
I think you have to.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many skills you learn.
Yes. You know? Just basic skills, though. Basic people skills. Yeah. Or I'm not saying she's like illiterate when it comes to men, but I am saying she kind of sucks when it comes to guys. And I think it's because she didn't really have the foundation of like basic things when you're kids and you grow up and you have to deal with boys and girls in the same classroom. Yeah. I wouldn't send my kid to an all-girls school. I think I wouldn't send Ace to an all-boys school. I think that you guys have to be the same way the same way you preach like diversity within your classroom, and that's having a classroom that's full of, you know, all different races and ethnicities and stuff. I'm not saying I need a classroom that has 20 black kids, but I want a classroom that has the Koreans, the Indians, the Asians, the Hispanics, the whites, the blacks. Like I want it to look like how the world actually looks when you walk outside.
Muslims, Jews.
Yeah, like everybody. I love it. Ryder last month was coming home talking about Chinese New Year, and the month before that she's talking about this, and you know, like she's getting all these different. Yeah. She came home talking about how somebody from India came and brought samosas to class. Like she was just, you know, it's giving her this diverse enrichment to where that's what I would want. But I've never thought about it until now we're talking about it, is the diversity that your child also needs between gender roles.
You're right. Yeah. Well, all kind, you know, look, economic.
Yes.
I mean, if you have your kids in a fancy, you know, private school.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm not looking. I'm just looking at the camera. And if you have your kids in a private fancy school, you better find a way to get them to the south side of town also. And if you're on the south side, find a way to get yourself to the west side. Mm-hmm. Okay? Don't be complacent in staying in your comfort zone or your more common space. Go find other spaces to play in. Oh.
You just keep hitting that table.
So, for example.
Yes.
Let's use Ryder.
Yeah.
I'd take Ryder down there to the Chuck E. Cheese in Del Amo in Carson.
That one got closed. That'd be fine too much.
You see where I'm taking her, though. You know, go down there and learn how to, and not to go down there and get get kicked around, but to go down there and understand that there's other worlds.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to maneuver between all the worlds.
So like this summer, I was looking at different programs for her to do.
Did really get close down?
I think so. They really were fighting a lot there. It would always be on World Star. Do
you know that's the first one I went to?
Was it really?
And you know why why they sent me?
Because you're black?
Because they were fighting a lot.
Yeah, they were a big black man.
Do you know how much I did to clean that place up?
A lot. You've told me this story.
Oh, okay. I was bragging.
I can tell. Oh. One of the things that you guys did with us that I really did like, at least for myself, was I went to private schools for the school year. And then in the summer, I felt like you put me in more of like the public camps, public school camps that we would go to it. Was that a YMCA? What was that? Like that Linda Vista area. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The big park.
Yeah.
So it gave me both sides of it. So I've been trying to figure out what that looks like for Ryder and for the summer. So I did find like a YMCA that she can do some camp things at.
First of all, let me tell you this. If you're trying to find her for Ryder and Ace, you need to drive at least 30 minutes.
I don't want to drive.
If you find her around the corner, you haven't found it.
No, around the corner is like Northridge, and Northridge is not like...
You know what I mean, though.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying Northridge is very diverse. Okay. And what I can find 30 minutes, I can find right there.
Okay.
Have you been to the Northridge Mall?
No.
Exactly. You don't go. Last time Zach and I went, we had to stay inside the yard house because they were shooting outside. So I'm just saying, I don't have to go 30 minutes to go find some trouble. Okay.
But you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
And for those that are already at the Northridge Mall,
be careful.
You need to find occasions to take your kids out of that area to, I don't know, what's a nice place?
I don't know. Let's go like to Calabasas or Chatsworth or something.
Let's go. They need to see it. You need to see it. They need to see it.
Yeah. I did find another summer program that I really liked that specializes in service.
Oh, let me say this one. Let's see. I'm sorry. Because a lot of people don't realize there's so much financial aid out there, especially if you are lower income trying to get into a, for lack of better words, it's a more fancy camp. Okay. Don't be scared to sit up there and say, well, do you have financial aid?
Because they have it.
They have it. And a lot of them.
Ryder School has it.
Yeah, I think you need to apply every year.
Oh, I am. Because I'm running out of money. I for sure am. I do not have that much pride to act like I can do it. I need help. So I am fine saying that. Help me. Yeah. As soon as I told Corey they got a financial aid program, he said, oh, hell yeah. We are not that prideful, okay? Yeah. And I will say that diversity-wise... I was on financial aid
to get both of you kids in school.
But diversity-wise, as far as like zip code diversity at that school, they do have it.
Okay.
Because I see the buses come in from inner city LA.
Okay, nice.
And that was one of the things that we did ask when we bought her there is there some? And
well, again, diversity, you got to have economic diversity. Yeah,
economic diversity. And I see them bring them in by the buses. Okay, so good. That's a good thing. That is one thing that I did like. But I did find a camp this summer that I really like that I didn't even know they had camps like this, but maybe that's just me being ignorant, was that there's a camp that is for service. Like, each day the kids go in service. Okay. They go to like an old people home or go clean up a park, go feed the homeless. And I thought that was such a cool camp idea for kids.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, I get that, there's academic camps, there's fun camps, but a camp where it teaches your kid how to do service. Yeah. I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that I like about some religious organizations. And I usually don't care for a whole lot of them. I mean, let me say this differently. I don't really care for religion that much, but a lot of religious organizations I do dig because they're service orientated. Mm-hmm. Right out of high school, let's go. Some people call it missionary work, but it's service. It's not just trying to recruit people into their religion. Some of them are actually just doing service. You went and did service one year.
I did a missions trip in Nicaragua. Yeah. We went and built a church, and we would host church services every day, and I would have to walk around with my Bible and tell the village about my testimony. Yeah. I was back in my
You was like 16 or younger.
No, I was like 16, 15. I was a Bible thumper, like Kyle would call me.
Yeah. Your mama was trying to get you home. I was like, girl, leave her alone. I'm just kicking her ass out of here. Let's go. Where were you? Nicaragua?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, get out of my house.
All right. We're done for this week.
Go help somebody. Go. No, you know what?
What?
Go. When you came back, though.
Oh, I was giving away all my stuff.
Oh, when you came back?
I gave away everything I had.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can live outside. I don't want anything. Yeah, the world owes me nothing.
That's right. Because you learn how
much people did not have on the other side, but how happy they were and how comfortable they were and how content and how they just lived their lives so differently. They weren't slaves to a job or to a house note, or it was just so different. It's such a different vibe. I'm trying to talk my household into let's just sell it and run. And
well, I'm going down to believe so.
It's actually working. My talk is working.
Really?
It is.
I'll sell. Me and T will sell.
I'll sell.
We should always keep some base property here.
No, honestly, if we decided, we talked about it, we would lease this out and go.
Where would you think about going?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. You got to look at a couple different places.
I'm down to go anywhere right now.
Yeah.
Anywhere but here. But all right, guys, I want to know what you guys think about our talk about representation and how you guys represent your cultures into your own households or at your kids' schools or in your workplace. I just want to hear different ideas, because we hit on our topics of like how we do it or how we think that people could do it, but I'm sure there's a million other ways that you can that we just didn't talk about. Yeah. And also, if you don't agree, like I'd love to hear the other side of that as well. So what? Okay. All right. It was a good talk this week. My dad has to pee. He had no update on Albert, the asshole. And he still wants to troll him, but I'm not letting him. But other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will be back with another video next week.